Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is that you're listening to us. This is Steve. This is Range Minded Podcast. I also have Nick back there in Boise. What's happening, Nick?
Holy cow, it feels like forever since I've been on this show.
Because it has been forever.
I've been gone, guys. Sorry, apparently COVID made it so that everyone I know is getting married this summer.
Everyone you know, and that's a lot of people.
Yeah, everybody that I know. I've did 4 weddings in the last 3 weeks.
And it's not like you're trying to run a business or businesses in the middle of all this.
Well, I didn't go to 2 of them, and then I have one this week. I chose only to go the ones where I was in the wedding, which is still too many.
Yeah. Fair enough, though. Just send a gift. That's good enough. Send them a holster.
Yeah. I'm too cheap to send him a holster. I send him a tray.
It'd be awesome, though. His and hers matching holsters.
I actually bought someone his and her guns for their wedding. So.
Oh, nice. That's better than just holsters.
Yeah. I didn't even make holsters for him.
What the heck, dude? You're the holster guy.
Anyways, what's been going on while I've been gone?
Let's see what has been going on. There's a lot. That's why tonight, I had a guest lined up. He had some things come up, so we're going to catch him on another time. So in the meantime, I've been hearing a lot of crazy news happening, and we haven't really done a news or a current events type episode in a little bit. And because things change so fast now, I thought it might be good for us to catch up on a couple things and spread it out to the listeners. There's been a lot going on. Some good stuff, some bad stuff, some interesting stuff. And hopefully we can get through some of my tabs that are opened up on my computer.
Yeah, well, let's get started. What's number 1?
Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about, now I got to find it here. Yes, so the Firearms Policy Coalition, and if you guys don't know who they are and what they do, they spend a lot of time in court fighting for our gun rights, whether that be on state levels or a national level. Well, we just got a major win. On June 4th, let's see, what was the name of this judge? So it was in the Southern District Court of California. This judge decided, hey, your California state assault weapons ban, it's no bueno. It doesn't work. And he struck it down. So all of our homies in California actually now have the ability, well, hopefully, I'm sure it's going to get contested and tied up in the court system.
So it sounds similar to when they had like Freedom Week with the magazines. So yeah. It got struck down until they were able to rewrite it and basically ban them again.
Well, and the interesting thing is this is the same judge that ruled that you could have standard capacity magazines in California. Same dude.
So hopefully that sticks.
Yeah, and I actually downloaded his judgment on there. It's pretty long. I'm not going to try even to start reading it. It's many, many, many pages. But there are some awesome quotes in here. Judge Benitez is his name, is the circuit judge. And this one I thought was super interesting. He referenced Heller. If you guys, another thing we've talked about a lot in the past is DC versus Heller, which kind of breaks down if a gun is in common use, the government cannot restrict it or ban it because it's in common use. And in his ruling here, it says there are probably more modern rifles in circulation than there are F-150 pickup trucks. He said in 2018, 909,330 F-150s were sold. Twice as many modern sporting rifles were sold in the same year. So, and then he kind of goes on a little quote. It says, it is a reminder that 2 new modern sporting rifles have been purchased for every truck owned. So, and then he breaks down, like, with this ruling, he says, it cannot be contested. We've tried this in court. You can't contest it. There's no way to fight this. It's the Supreme Court said in modern or in standard use or whatever, you can't do it under DC versus Heller.
Well, speaking of trucks and guns, remember when the car dealership here, the Auto Ranch, used to do buy a truck, get a gun? I haven't heard that in a while.
I haven't either. They need to get back on it. Maybe they hit a shortage on firearms. And cars right now are kind of a
Well, now you can't buy a truck, so
yeah, and you don't want to because fuel.
Well, and here's the deal. I know when the dealership is calling to buy my truck, there's
Wow,
a huge problem.
wow.
Yeah. They're like, so we saw that you just made your last payment. We were wondering if you'd like to sell your 2003 F350. I was like, uh, probably not.
Dude, you could sell it for what you paid for it now.
Dude, they offered me almost as much as I paid for it.
That's nuts.
And that was 6 years ago that I bought it.
I've honestly thought about selling my Power Stroke.
But then what are you gonna buy? That's my hope. That's what I tell people about houses too. I'm like, that's awesome. You have $300,000 in equity.
And all of that's going to be gone.
It's going to cost you $1 million to replace your house.
Yeah, I fight with that every day on this side of the state too. It's true. Yeah. I can't replace what I've got.
So that next wedding that I'm headed to on Friday is in your neck of the woods.
Oh, nice. So that's Saturday, this coming
weekend. This coming weekend, I'm going to Lava Hot Springs.
Oh yeah, lava's awesome.
Yeah, so
you're gonna do some swimming in the hot pools.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm staying in Pocatello because I didn't realize it was this coming weekend, so I didn't.
Oops.
I didn't book lodging, I guess, 2 years in advance.
You should have known.
Yeah, well, I didn't. So I was like, I'll just stay in Pocatello. What is it, like 45 minutes away?
No, probably not even that far. It's probably closer than that.
Yeah, see?
Bit of a drive.
I fly by the seat of my pants. I've been to Salt Lake 3 times in the last month. Every time I just walked in and booked a hotel room.
Yeah, it's usually pretty easy in Utah. I mean, it's Utah.
It's not getting any cheaper. I couldn't rent. So if you guys are flying into Salt Lake International Airport, there's no rental cars.
That's true.
Unless you upgrade. And it was like $240 a day for a rental car. The flights from Boise to Salt Lake, remember how they used to be like $150?
Yeah.
$400.
What?
Yeah. $395 for the flight.
Asinine.
Plus all your stupid fees, plus $200 a day for the rental car. And then I think the hotel room was the cheapest part. It was $118 a night.
Well, everywhere rental cars are a thing. We were actually just talking about this last night.
How is there a rental car shortage?
I don't know.
Come on.
In Hawaii, I was told last night in Hawaii to rent a car for a week is $3,000.
Good grief.
You could buy a used car and drive it around and then sell it before you leave.
Or just walk away from it.
Yeah. Or not go to Hawaii until they ease the crap that's going down.
That's crazy. The amount of shortage. So right now, the reason I'm at the shop tonight is because we're having the building painted. I did a live video, I think yesterday. I pressure washed the whole building, and they're out there painting it right now. And Zach, the painter, shows up, and I go, dude, that's not enough paint. That's only 10 gallons. And he's like, yeah, this is all they had. There's a paint shortage. There's an exterior paint shortage because of all the building.
Well, and because I've had the same problem with our painter on this side of the state. He was saying, remember a few months back when Texas froze?
Yeah.
So Sherwin-Williams, which is obviously a huge paint supplier, one of the resins or whatever they use in their high dollar paint, like all got destroyed in that freeze out. And so now you got to buy shit paint for your house, but you're still paying the premium cost, and it's not as good.
So to bring that full circle back to the gun world, which is what the show is about, so we don't
not painting. Yeah.
So I make plastic holsters, right? So Kydex holsters. There's a shortage of the resin to make ABS because of that exact same thing you just said. Apparently Texas makes all of the resins in the freaking country.
Yeah, or the world apparently.
Yeah. Apparently 1 month being out of business and frozen without power shut down the whole resin world. And I'm having a hard time getting material.
That sucks. How many people are you pissing off a week because of that?
A lot. And not to mention, I take a lot of jobs at the beginning of the year, and I've already quoted them. I've spread them out for the entire 12 months. And now I'm ordering plastic at like a third higher cost than what I quoted the job at.
And you're stuck with your price.
Yeah, I'm stuck at paying it because those people already paid the deposits. Normally I don't buy all the material at one time because it's more beneficial for us to order every single month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had 2 months where I had to skip my order because the customers were deferring deliveries.
Right.
And now
they want.
I can't. Now they want it, and I can't get it. And I'm like, man, I should have just bought $30,000 worth of plastic sheets. But then you got to sit on it.
And then what happens if if that falls through?
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm like, man, it would have been like buying sheets of plywood a year ago.
Yeah, I wish I would have had a crystal ball to know. I should have looked at my Magic 8-Ball.
I just cannot believe, you get the same excuse everywhere you go. I mean, guns, everything, ammo. We went through this with the ammo shortage, like supply chain. They're all like, it's the supply chain. It's the supply chain. I'm like, this shit is made in the U.S. Yeah. Like Kydex is a U.S. only product. Why are we having a hard time getting it? Is it the fuel? Well, I mean, everything has been so jacked up.
Well, I think it's a perfect storm. Like, obviously the pandemic caused issues with everything. I mean, everybody understands that. But when you start adding on fuel costs, and I still think there's a labor issue, a labor shortage, because the government pays people to sit on their butts. And it's just kind of compounding, and it's really starting to screw us. And now we're seeing hints of quantitative easing, which is going to be even worse. It's scary.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to come out of this. Like, there's going to have to be some serious changes because we need, one, the supply chain to come back. Yeah. We need Canada to open up so that those things are not an issue. And God damn it, Texas, get your resin shit in order.
Yeah, keep the heaters on. Good grief.
Yeah. Well, you would think if they make that much of the world's plastic resin and paint resin, they should have enough money to rebuild that, like, right away.
Yeah, right now.
I don't know.
Super frustrating. But on the bright side, I see more and more ammo on the shelves. It may not be the prices that we like, but I see more and more ammo.
And again, I don't think that we're going to get back to those prices when it comes to ammo.
No, I think it'll come down a little bit, but it'll be probably unlikely, like you're saying, to be back down dirt cheap, $8 a box for 9mm. That's not coming back.
I had a picture pop up on my Facebook like a memory, and I was over at Idaho Arms and Ammo here in Meridian, and it had Federal 9mm ammunition, $8.99 a box.
The good old days.
And I was like, I didn't even buy any of that. I took a picture and shared it on Facebook. I didn't even buy any of it.
Yeah. Back then you're like, oh, that's pretty good, but I will be all right. I'll just buy some next time. That was the mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we see $18 a box for 9. We're like, oh, I better buy a box. Stupid.
Dude, at $25 a box, I was buying it.
Yeah.
So we're talking we're talking current events. So we've kind of got off track with the stuff we were talking about. But I was mentioning to you before we got started, I heard and listened to a little bit of them talking about California passing, and I think it goes into effect next month, one firearm purchase a month, so a 30-day period. So if you bought a gun on the 5th, you can't buy another one until the 5th of the next month.
So it's by month. It's not like 30 days total.
It's a 30-day period.
What the hell? Like, how are they thinking this is going to solve any of their violent crime issues? I don't understand this logic.
So the theory behind it was that it was going to keep people from bulk purchasing firearms.
So people that are going to go through the 4473 and then the California DROS process.
Whoa.
Oh, what do you? Oh, you're reading something
Hang
good.
on. Thanks.
I don't understand why they're like, because the people buying guns aren't the people causing problems. That's what's frustrating. The people that are going to go through the legal process of doing a federal and a state background check and a waiting period, and a license to buy freaking ammo, they're not the ones causing the problems.
Yeah, but they're the ones holding us up from having a full-on gun ban. They're the only ones fighting it.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, in my opinion, to make it as difficult as possible for those people to get what they want, eventually they'll give up.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll give up, they'll move away, they'll stop fighting, they'll get frustrated, and that's when, oh, by the way, now you can buy none of them.
Yeah. Well, and you probably already know this on the okay to buy gun list that California has. In order for a new gun to go on the list, 3 guns have to come off of it. So it's eventually going to be 0. It makes no sense. A Gen 5 Glock can't be on the list because it's too new. But most of those people look at a Gen 5 and a Gen 2 or a Gen 3 and they cannot tell the difference. Because there's only a very few different things that'll catch your eye. It's asinine.
The thing that fascinates me is that Glock will continue to produce a Gen 4 in order to sell in California.
Right.
So technically, a 2021 Gen 4 Glock 17 is a new gun, but it doesn't have ambidextrous controls.
Well, yeah.
Huh.
Because the design change nothing's changed in the design phase. But the second you put a single trigger pin in there and get rid of the finger grooves, God forbid we put that gun on the okay to buy list because it's dangerous.
But that's the thing that gets me. So think of that. So the new production Gen 4 is still allowed to be sold as a new production gun. You would think the reason they did that was because they knew that a new generation of gun would come out. Well, why would you continue to allow the old generation to be on the list? Because they're not really cutting anything out by not allowing Gen 5s.
No.
Unless you're talking like, because you think like the Glock 43, then you have the 43X, now you have the 43 MOS.
Which I don't think the 43, it's not on the list. It's too new.
And yet I send holsters to California all the time for these guns.
Well, I don't want to say loophole because that's such a terrible word.
But I get confused all the time when I'm going over order forms and I'm going, that's going to California?
Yeah, because somehow, so law enforcement is exempt. So Leos can get whatever they want still. That's off the DOJ list. But Joe Citizen, if he wants to have a 1911, it can't be a new 1911. It's got to be something that hasn't changed. It's got to be something from whatever 84 design or whatever. I don't know. It's so stupid. There's no effing difference in the gun, other than this one was designed and manufactured. Recently.
Your kids must be playing Xbox because you're cutting out.
I don't even think my kids are here. I'll send a nasty text.
You went offline for a minute. But it's funny to me when I'm looking at these orders, right? It's like inside the waistband holsters for SIG P365 XL. I didn't know that's on the list. And 2, how many of these hundreds of holsters that I'm sending there, how many of these people are even able to carry concealed there?
Very, very few.
And so that's what confuses me, because I don't care where the holster's going, but when I'm looking at I always look at the addresses to see where we're shipping, and I'm like, that confuses me because I didn't know that you could have most of that stuff.
Well, it's a shit show over there anyways. Like, we already know that. We talked to,
and I'm pretty naive to it, even when I have people that, like, customers that get mad at me because I don't know I'm like, I don't know all the California laws, and nor do I really want to spend a lot of my time
I don't know if it's
learning
possible.
them.
I don't know if it's possible to know all the law.
You know who knows it? So Rob from Sacramento Black Rifle, when I do videos with him, dude, we've got to get him on here.
Yes,
because
we do.
If we want to talk about California bureaucracy, that dude, he knows all of the laws.
He started selling.
Yeah, he started selling AR-15s the day that they became able to be sold there.
And I've never met somebody so passionate about what he does for a living.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So.
Yeah, so yeah, California is messed up. Hopefully with this new assault weapons ban, I know it's going to be, well, the removal of that law, it's going to be chaos for a little while, and it's going to be so tied up in courts that it's not going to make any difference for our friends in California. Sorry, guys. You're having a little nibble of freedom, but it's going to be for naught, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well,
another thing that actually action is required for this for sure is, I don't know if you saw the ATF's new suggestions, or whatever you want to call it, on pistol braces. Have you heard anything about this?
I haven't been on the news for the last couple weeks while I've been traveling.
Well, that's probably good. But the ATF decided, okay, we're going to come out with some information on pistol braces. And I know it's hard to believe, but they really want to make them into SBRs. Which we've known that for a long time. The Biden administration tipped their hand before he even became president that they're wanting to make these things illegal, or at least extremely controlled. Because they're saying now that the pistol braces, you can fire them from the shoulder, and that is not a handgun. It is an absolute short-barreled rifle, and they're trying to get everything to fall under their SBR laws, which is ridiculous.
Well, that was known the day that they were submitted years ago.
Well,
and it was approved even after the fact.
Absolutely.
And not to mention how many components on a gun determine whether or not it's a pistol. Is it the barrel length? Is it the grip? Is it the foregrip? Is it the stock? Is it the buffer tube? Because there's so many combinations. Because you could say it has a pistol grip. It's a pistol. So now my AR-15 with a pistol grip with a 16-inch barrel, that might be a pistol.
Yeah. Well, so
if it has a pistol grip and it has a pistol brace, I don't care what else it has. If it has two of three things, boom.
Yeah,
it's classification.
So they've come up with and maybe this has already existed for a while, a point system, right? So first of all, they said the maximum length of a pistol would have to be 26 inches. Anything longer than that, it'd be a rifle. And then
we just get shorter barrels.
Yeah, well, and then that turns it into an SBR. So what they did say is you could take your short length barrel off of there and put a rifle length barrel, and you'll be fine with the brace. What's the point at that point? But they go through this points metric, and each one of these is worth different points. So if it can be fired from the shoulder, that's 1 point. If it's designed or intended to be fired from the shoulder, that's 2 points. Let's see. The weapon is likely designated and intended to be fired from the shoulder. That's 3 points, which is basically the same thing as the other two. Anyway, so you're only allowed 4 points. Once you're past 4 points, it's an SBR. So they're also saying...
So I've never in my life intended to shoot a pistol brace from my shoulder.
No.
I have rifle stocks for that.
That's right.
As far as intention goes, I've never purchased a pistol brace with the intention of firing it from my shoulder.
Yeah.
Because if I had that intention, I would buy a rifle stock. I don't care. And you can't, the ATF and the government can't say, well, the only reason you got a short barrel was to make it an SBR. No, I got it because it was going to be it's a pistol. It was intended to be a pistol. I
intended to buy it as a pistol.
What it becomes years down the road, who knows? But the intention of it, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
They hit a slippery slope when they said intention.
Yeah, because
and they even
that gives us the ability to say that's not what I intended it for, right? Is that what you're
and
saying?
even that point system, if it's intended to be shot from the shoulder, pistol braces were not designed to be shot from the shoulder.
Right.
Point, case closed, done, over with. They were not designed to be fired from the shoulder. Butt stocks were designed to be fired from the shoulder.
Yeah.
So even if you decided to shoulder it, it's not what it was designed for or the intended use. Now, using it wrong, a Ford Focus was not designed to be a drag race car,
Right.
but it gets used for that.
Yeah. Because did you buy it for the intent of drag racing, or is it a family car?
I mean, it's a 4-door on 15-inch wheels. Like, it was intended to be a family car, but did I race it once or twice?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another thing. The ATF would.
Did I leave the house with the intention of going to Firebird Raceway to drag race it? No, it just happened on Eagle Road at the stoplight.
Yeah.
Wasn't my intention.
No.
Until it happened.
So
that's
okay. Anyway, so the ATF, here's some other stuff from the ATF. The ATF would consider any gun with a score of 4 or more points as an SBR. Firearms over 13.5 inches are automatically an SBR, which doesn't make sense because my rifles are longer than 13.5 inches. If a pistol has a standard buffer tube...
Wait, so hang on. So between 16 and 13.5 is considered an SBR?
Yep.
That's weird.
Yep, it's weird. If a pistol has a standard buffer tube, then it's worth 2 points. So, like, let's see. I think there are some braces out there that use a standard buffer tube.
Yeah, there's quite a few of the SB3
Tacticals,
ones.
yeah, SB3 and 4. The ATF would also consider any gun that is over 120 ounces unloaded as an SBR.
So now weight factors into the use of the gun?
Apparently. Most people shoot their handguns with 2 hands anyways. That's whatever. It's so stupid. And then here's something that makes no sense. If a firearm has flip-up sights, that would give the gun 1 point towards becoming an SBR.
So we need red dots.
But a red dot gives you 2 points.
Oh, so we just need fixed
sights.
We just need fixed AR sights.
What they're trying to do here, first of all, it's getting as confusing as the United States tax code on whether or not it's a pistol or an SBR.
But you know what this is going to do is it's just going to create a bunch of people who go to jail with gun felonies.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the intent, I think. I mean, if we go back to the NFA, that's what it was all about anyways, was tax evasion. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, we can still petition just like we did with bump stocks and the other stuff that's come up. Call your freaking representative, your congressman in Washington, and say, do not vote for this shit because it is ridiculous.
And if you're in Idaho, I'm telling you guys, join Idaho's Second Amendment Alliance.
Please do.
Greg does great things in the state. Like I used to be hesitant to join, but he has year after year proven that he's in the fight.
Yeah, in the beginning, I was like, dude, this guy's he might be a little too far out there, but no, he's pushed it. He's done good.
I definitely am the person that like takes a little bit of time for people to prove themselves to me that they're actually doing what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, Greg's never backed down. He even takes it a step further with what is the new news media that he came out with? Idaho Dispatch.
Yeah.
So.
And I was reading, man. Okay, another squirrel moment for a second. So, Local News 8 on my side of the state, Channel 8, posted an article on their Facebook page saying that ultra right-wing conservatives are taking over the state. And they talk about Chad Christensen and Ron Nate, and they refer to Idaho Dispatch as part of the problem. Like, Maybe it's because these people are actually doing what they're hired to do.
Well, didn't we just have Chad on the podcast?
Yeah.
He didn't seem ultra white to me.
He sounded like a normal Idaho conservative politician.
I'm just trying to figure out what ultra white means. Your head's shaved. You might be ultra white.
Actually, I'm kind of sunburned right now, but
I know my arms are so sunburned from being out pressure washing the shop.
So, yeah, back to the braces. I could probably find the phone number for the board in DC.
Well, being ultra white is 2 points.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Well, and you know, white people are what did they say in Washington? It's an epidemic. White privilege and white racism is an epidemic. So we're part of the problem, anyways.
Good grief!
I know it's absolutely crazy. We live in a crazy freaking world right now. What happened to it?
I don't know, but I am happy to say that on Saturday I went to the park for one of my son's baseball end of the last season. Now we're into the next one, but there was lacrosse going on, and there was like 1,000 people out there
to watch lacrosse.
There was like 40 games going on. It was crazy. No masks. Everyone was sitting next to each other, and in my head I went, holy shit, did the pandemic end without me hearing about it on the news?
Yeah, didn't you read the email about the emails?
Yeah, like it was 100% normal. And as I've been out the last few days, I look around, maybe see like 3 or 4 people wearing a mask.
Yeah, I still get dirty looks though when I walk around Walmart and places like.
I mean, I don't even pay attention to people anymore, though.
I do because it makes me laugh inside.
Like, this is what I always tell people who come in, like, and we're talking about printing and stuff for concealed carry, and I'm like, who pays attention to that anymore? Like, if you're going to carry a gun, odds are every once in a while someone's going to notice that you have a gun. I tell people, average Joe at Walmart isn't even paying attention to what that is. The people who notice are the people looking for guns, okay. And then the defense, like Ryan would say, well, that's probably the bad guy that notices. Okay, cool. Well, then I made myself the target, not
somebody else.
So, but it's just like, I don't even pay attention to like what people are, because I used to be like, oh, maybe they're looking at me because they can see my gun. Now, maybe they're looking at me because I'm not wearing a mask. Don't care.
Yeah. You know, that's kind of interesting thing you bring up, because it really is something that we're hypersensitive about, more sensitive than we need to be when we're carrying. We're always worried about somebody seeing something that's concealed. They're not going to see it. What dude is checking out your front belt line to see if he can see a gun?
Not me.
Yeah, I don't go around looking at dudes' belt buckles.
And here's my thing is like a gun owner, gun carrier. I carry a gun every day, everywhere I go, right? Same with you.
Yeah.
I could care less who in that building has a gun.
I hope more people have a gun.
But you know why? Because I have a gun.
Yeah.
And I know how to use my gun.
Yeah.
And I train with my gun. And I practice and I know about it and I know my gear and whatever. I don't care. Good, bad, terrorist, who's in that building with a gun. I have mine. And if something does happen, obviously I'm paying attention to make sure there's not any bad shit going on around me.
Yeah.
But I'm not looking and profiling people for guns.
Yeah. You know, I wonder for those that are legal to carry, and I wonder how many don't carry because they're worried of what people might think or might say. There's got to be a percentage out there that feel like I don't want to draw attention to myself, or I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be ultra right wing walking through Walmart in Idaho Falls. Stupid.
I know there's people like that, but I don't. I say carry your gun, get comfortable with it. Get to the point where you don't even recognize that you're carrying a gun, because that's where I am.
Yeah.
I put my gun on in the morning. I go about my entire day. I come home. By the end of the day, I'm ready to take it off. but during the day, I just don't think
You
about
don't
it.
think about it.
I had a customer today who was returning a holster. He's like, man, I just can't do it. I'm like, can't do what? He's like, it's too uncomfortable. I'm like, you're one of out of 1,000 people last month. You're the only person to tell me that, which is fine. Whatever. I returned it, refunded his money. And I was like, well, did you look at some other options? He's like, no, I'm just not gonna carry.
Man, that's disappointing. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like that.
It's just, me and Terry always tell people, like, man, 30, 60, 90 days. Those are the marks that you have to hit before it becomes quote unquote comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't care what the holster is. At a certain point in the day, it's uncomfortable.
Yep.
I don't care what gun you're carrying. At a certain point, it's uncomfortable. But once you hit 30 days, it's a habit. Once you hit 60 days, there's no reason not to have it. Once you hit 90 days, it's just a commitment that you've made, and it's a habit, and you just continue to do it. And your body now is used to it. Your skin is used to the irritation.
Yeah.
Your leg is used to the irritation, the uncomfortableness. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, I carry a Glock 19 majority of the time. It's my main carry gun. Why? Because I've just always done it, and I'm used to it, and I know how to conceal it, and my body has pretty much built its way around me carrying that gun.
Yeah. Yeah. I have buddies over here that I try to convince them, hey, you need to appendix carry. And out of, the comparison between, that sounds like a good place to carry to, that sounds really uncomfortable. It's 1,000 to 1 excuses why not to carry appendix.
100%. 100%. And those same excuses can be used for strong side carry, for small to back carry. And at the same time, I tell people when they're like, I just don't want a gun pointing at my junk. I'm like, cool. So you want a gun pointing at the back of your leg? You want a gun pointing at your hip? You want to draw your gun and potentially flag yourself all the way around as you're coming around? Like, you want to draw your gun and flag the people around you? Like, the odds of that gun going off when your hand pulls it out of the holster are much more likely than when you're sitting down and that gun is rested against your leg.
Yeah. I love appendix carry. That's no secret.
Me too. And it's the only, honestly, when I carried behind the hip, I was less likely to carry my gun everywhere that I went.
Yeah, because it prints everywhere. You were way more likely to print.
Yeah, it prints, and I just wasn't as comfortable carrying the gun. Like, not physically comfortable, but like with my surroundings, I wasn't as comfortable having my gun on when it was on or behind my hip.
Yeah. I used to carry small of the back for a long time because I don't know, it made sense to me at the time. That was in the beginning of my journey, and the longer I went through, that gun just worked its way around to the front. That's just the way it was. I feel like I'm in a place now that I'm not worried about my gun going off and losing, changing my religion, and because I understand my firearm. I understand the safeties that are built into my gun. I understand if I don't put my finger on the trigger as I come out of the holster, the chances of me shooting myself in my junk are 0 because it's nothing that I'm doing. Can the gun fail? Sure. That's a slim possibility, but I have faith in the manufacturer that they've gone through their due diligence to make sure that gun's not going to fire for no reason.
Well, and you've also put rounds through your gun and shot with it enough that you know that specific firearm.
Yes.
Not just that you know the Glock 19, but you know Steve Zimmerman's Glock 19.
Yes.
Like the one that you have. The one that I've been carrying for 15 years, I know everything about it. I know every cork about it. I know the grip imperfections. I know, like, when I tear it apart, that there's a chip in the paint on the barrel right here. Like, yeah. I know that stuff.
Yeah, I know you're probably similar to me. When I was doing stippling, like, I literally knew my guns every part, because I would take my guns completely. Even the striker chamber deal, the liner for the striker, like, I've had all those parts out and replaced them. Like, I know my gun. And
that's even, I made a video a while back. I changed the trigger in my carry gun to the factor trigger.
Yeah, I need to get one of those guys. Gosh,
I was very hesitant to change my trigger because that meant that I had to go to the range for multiple weeks in a row and shoot hundreds of rounds to make sure that I was confident in carrying that gun.
Yeah.
Where before, with the factory trigger that was in it for the last 8 years, I had no worries with it. Yeah. And I don't have any worries with the factory trigger, but I had to do my own assurance test.
Yeah.
Which was draw, shoot, reholster, draw, shoot, reholster, like reset checks, like all of that, all of the dry fire. Like it totally changed my way of doing dry fire because the trigger pull was different.
You know, that's another really interesting point too, that when we make changes to our carry gun, whether it be sights, whether it be texture on the frame, like that changes your point of aim, that changes how it feels, how it looks, how it reacts to you, and you really should be spending time behind it.
So that's a big problem that I have with like when people buy these guns for concealed carry, and then they walk out of the store with a light, an optic, a comp for their carry gun, and I'm thinking, okay, you better put all of that stuff on right away.
Yep.
And always carry it like that, or
don't do anything.
You don't know your gun.
Yeah.
Like I won't put an optic on my carry gun. Why? Because I don't shoot optics on pistols enough to be comfortable with it. I have guns with optics, and I actually really like them.
Yeah, me too.
Like now that I've figured out like my situation with my eyes, like I can pick that up really fast, and I really like it. But I still won't switch my carry gun to an optic.
Yeah. Because
I don't have that confidence in it that I do in the way that the gun is right now, that it's been.
And for me, like because I dig optics too. Like I think they're awesome, but I don't want to add the extra bulk to my carry gun. Like, because that's one more thing to print, honestly, even though it can be, you change the way you carry just a little bit, change the position of the gun or the depth of the holster.
I think optics are less intrusive than lights.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
I think that an optic, especially if you're carrying appendix, an optic usually rides right along the belt.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get the geometry of the holster right with your body, it usually rides right in line with the front of the holster with the sight channel, just barely forward, which doesn't really affect the concealability. But a light, no matter how small, affects the way that it wears. Yeah. And adds bulk to it. So there's like two camps to this. There's the guys that want the most minimal holster in the world, right? Trigger guard holster. Anything more than that, anything more than 60,000 Skydex is too much. Then but that same guy will also want a holster that accommodates his gun with the suppressor attached.
Yeah. Because it's cool.
And so I'm like, wait a second, what just happened there? So adding a light to your carry gun, especially if you don't ever go anywhere at night.
Well, that adds a whole new training level too. Like,
yeah,
I mean, that could be an entire show on itself, and it should be low light class, and that because, man, there's so much theory and doctrine on lights, on gun or off gun, that if you haven't taken a class, you're gonna have some adverse side effects that you're not understanding or know nothing about.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into that, and I kind of got away from current events, kind of talking about carry guns, but
I think it's all right.
It's fine. We should do an episode on it. We should bring someone on and talk to them about it, because it's definitely interesting to me where people's minds are, and what I've said this multiple times on the show. I really think that most people, especially new gun owners, just go with whatever they're handed at the gun counter.
Yeah.
And I think that the salespeople at the gun counter, I mean, some do, I'm not going to call everyone out, but I don't think that they grasp the responsibility that they're holding in their hands at that moment.
I think they're losing a huge opportunity if they're not selling the gun correctly. A huge opportunity. Not to make money on upsells or whatever, but that's so we're talking. That was one of the other things we're going to talk about. So last month was another record gun sales. It was like 3.2 million background checks or something. And I was doing some other research, and it took me to 20, which we talked about gun sales in 2020, but 40% of those gun sales, the 20 something million background checks, 40% of those were first time gun buyer women.
Yep.
And so these new students of the gun are coming to the gun counter, and their first experience is that tactical Timmy dude selling them a gun. And that almost scares the shit out of me, because what did that asshole teach them?
So here's something. This is a real story. Happened not yesterday, but Sunday. Yeah, it happened Sunday. So I'm a part of this coaching group called the Lion's Den with Sean Whalen, right? And so I went. One of the trips that I took to Salt Lake was for his live event, and there was 500 members that showed up there. Well, in this entire group, there's one other holster maker in this group of people, and this is a group of like business owners and entrepreneurs that are heavily into conservative values, right? He owns the brand Lions Not Sheep. You guys see it everywhere, and all of these people are gun owners. And I'm walking into this event, right? I've never met half these people. I've only been a part of the group for a few months. I've known Sean for years, but I've been a part of the group since January. I was immediately known as the holster guy. And after that event, I probably sold 100 holsters to people from that event, just from that event. Nice. We did actually I'll show you because you can see it because we're on camera, but we did those Lions Not Sheep clips.
Yeah.
And I sold out. I have 3 of them sitting here because they're meant to go to Sean. But a lady, multiple women from the group messaged me to say, hey, what gun do you think I should get? Oh, I have this one, but I want to get a different one. And I've spent hours since then in messages guiding these women how, hey, make sure you go out and shoot 5-10 rounds through each one. Go to an indoor range. Where do you live? I'll help you find an indoor range. Go there. Check out 5 or 6 different guns, see which one you like. Well, this story that I was getting at is this lady had an M&P Compact 2.0. And she's like, I really love it. I love the way it feels, but I need something smaller for concealed carry, and then I want to order a holster for it. I was like, great. I think you should get the M&P Shield if you really like it. It's just a much smaller version of that same gun. There's 2 versions. There's the new Plus. I really like the new Plus. Just don't put 10 tons of pressure on the mag release because it'll break. Still waiting to get that fixed. Thanks, Rob. So she goes to the store and she's like, okay, I'll check it out. But I said, make sure you shoot it or at least put your hands on it and make sure you like it. So she messages me on Sunday and it's a picture and it's the Hellcat. And she says, I really love the way this feels in my hand. I really like it. Do you have a holster for it? And I said, yeah, absolutely, I have a holster for it. And she says, okay, perfect, because I wasn't going to buy it if you didn't have a holster for it. And I'm like, oh my God. So she buys it and immediately places the order. And it went through my head of, I wonder why she chose the Hellcat over the Shield. Was it just because how it felt in her hand? Because she didn't shoot it.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't at an indoor range. Was it because of the ammunition? Like the capacity? Was it because the store had a surplus of them and didn't have the Shield? Or was it because the guy behind the counter told her that that was the newest, latest, greatest thing?
And that's the one she needed. Yeah, it worries me. I hope, and I shouldn't throw all gun salespeople under the bus, because I've worked with some amazing people, ladies and dudes selling guns to ladies and dudes. Like
every person that works behind a gun counter just gave us a 1-star review.
Well, they know who they are, and if they're just selling guns to get that stupid free T-shirt, they need to work on who they are. They need to do some soul searching as a gun salesman and think, am I doing this because I want free crap, or am I doing this because I want people to be able to defend themselves and be smarter with what they buy?
So I always look at everything that comes into the retail store or through my DMs or emails, all of it. Even the guy who returned that holster, he'll be back to buy something. Like, I'll refund him his money. Me and him got along great. Like, he was in here multiple times before he bought it. He was here after he bought it. He ended up bringing it back. But I guarantee you that he'll buy something or someone else will.
Yeah.
And if somebody comes in here and I sell them a holster for a gun without a light and they buy a light, they'll be back to buy another holster.
Right.
If you work in a gun store and you do a good job and you capture that person's business, when they come for the trigger, when they come for the light, when they come for the holster, they'll be back. Obviously, as the store owner, the store manager, I want you to do as much of that as possible at the time.
Yeah. I mean, upsells make sense.
But not pressuring them into buying things that either they don't know how to use or don't need at their current skill level.
Yeah.
Because you're not saving them any money by selling them a light at the time of purchase.
Yeah.
You're just capturing that sale while it's there. Well, if you build a long-term relationship with that customer, they're going to be back.
Yeah. Well, and you understand communicating with customers. Like, I've seen you do it.
And I also understand the lifetime value of customers.
Yeah.
And that's what's big to me. So for me, the lifetime value of a brand new customer for me is $2,000.
Yeah.
I know that over the period of the next 5 years, anyone who purchases from me, if they enjoyed the experience in the product, they'll spend $2,000.
Yeah. Well, and it also comes down, man, this is turning into a sales meeting all of a sudden. It also comes down to like an emotional sell or an educated sell, right? So a lot of these first-time lady gun buyers, it's an emotional thing. Like, they're doing it because they're scared or whatever. So as a good salesman, you need to qualify who they are, right? And not just base everything that you're giving them as an emotional fix. I look at a customer as a friend. Like, when I was behind the gun counter, and a lot of times I wouldn't upsell stuff to them because, like you're saying, I don't think they needed that stuff at the time. I want them to come back. I want them to enjoy conversations with me, like a bartender and a dude at the bar talking to whatever.
That's funny you just said that, because as you were explaining that, I got to thinking about like my mentality of sales, and it always comes back to my hospitality background with the restaurant. And I always wanted the people to come back and see me.
Yeah.
Like, there's thousands of places they can go to eat. What makes them come back here outside of food? Because where I worked, you could get bacon and eggs across the street or down the road. Why would they come back? Because they enjoyed the experience.
Well, and
buying a gun can be the same way, and it can be an even bigger experience, because that's a big thing in someone's life, buying their first gun.
Yeah,
and it shouldn't be that big of a thing, but it's a big deal.
And for me, like, I trust friends more than I just trust some salesman. Go to any go to a car dealership, and you tell me what guy's your friend and what guy's just a salesman. For me, if I'm generating friendships as a salesperson, I know they're going to come back to me, even if they're going to shoot the shit for 10 minutes about nothing. I know they're going to come back and eventually buy something else from me, and they'll get my opinion because they'll trust me more.
Well, and it's funny because the industry that we're in such a unique position, because, like I said, buying a gun is a big deal, right? But not just buying a gun. Like, I get people who get excited about buying a holster. They get excited about they're going to their first class. And what do? They're like, let me get extra cards because I'm going to tell everybody. I want to tell all my friends about the experience that I had standing right here in this holster shop because I was excited about it. And that's how I get all of my business, right? I don't run any advertising. I'm not on the radio. I'm not on TV. I'm not on Facebook.
It's a better investment in advertising anyways.
And so, but that's what's funny is, like, we're in such a unique industry where something that's so small, like buying a firearm because it's normal to me, is such a big deal for so many people. But not only is it a big deal to buy the gun, but it's a big deal to go back and buy the holster. It's a big deal to go back to go shooting. Mm-hmm. Every time at the range, for someone who's not like a gun guru, who's not a Steve Zimmerman, who's like, man, I 10,000 guns. I go to the range all the time, whatever. Most of those people in those lanes next to you, that is the highlight of their week.
Yeah.
That is the highlight of their month.
Yeah, and that's such a huge opportunity for even outside the sales world, just good stewards of the Second Amendment. That is such an opportunity that I think we as just normal gun owners are letting slip. We should be interacting with these people and let them know that, hey, there's more normal people like me that own guns that enjoy this too. We're missing out on something that really needs to be taken advantage of. But that sounds terrible.
We need to get another person on here, and then we need to break down each of those like 4 aspects that we just talked about, because we kind of went one to the other.
Yeah.
And kind of dig a little deeper in that, because I think we're onto something with this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that people will let us know in the comments and the emails what they kind of think about where we were going with this, but I really do think we should go a little deeper in that. And it's something that I'm passionate about because I do it every day. I mean, if you've ever been into my retail shop, you don't leave without standing here bullshitting for 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Because you're easy to talk to. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. I don't get any work done. That's why I've had to try and hire 2 people, because I'll spend all my time talking to you. Why? Because I know not only do I want to be friends with everybody that comes in here, because obviously they're the right type of people.
Yep.
But I want them to have a connection with my business and my brand and me as a person, because they're never going to go anywhere else when they need something.
Right.
And even if they don't need something that I can provide, I get messages every single day. Hey, where can I get this? Hey, can you help me find XYZ? Hey, do you know where my friend can find this gun? Do you sell ammo? No, I don't, but go here. I'm doing that all day. I answered a direct message on my phone at 1:30 this morning because I woke up to go get a drink of water. Like all the time. So it consumes my life, but I enjoy it. That's why I love what I'm doing. That's why I love doing this podcast with you. And we're going to pick it back up because I kind of went MIA while I was traveling. But I'm going to send you that new software so we can do it while I'm on the go and while we're away from the computer.
Yeah, so. I'm excited to try this new stuff out. And I don't know if you listened to the show last week. We already talked about some T-shirt ideas. I've got some more. We need to crash brains together so I can get them submitted to the T-shirt guys and see how things go. Because I really want to get range-minded more than just in people's ears, but on people's bodies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I know I'll be up in your area, but I know it's going to be Sunday when I go through. I don't know if you have anything going on later in the day.
We might be able to figure something out.
Okay. Well, all right, guys. It was great being back.
It's great having you back.
I'm excited. So we will talk to you guys later. Stay safe.
Take somebody shooting. Thanks,
Absolutely.
guys, again. Make sure you can follow Nick. Where can we get you, Nick, on the Instas and such?
At Hoftac Industries on all the social media. And I'm just going to throw this out there. Hoftac Industries right now, 0 lead time. So anything listed on our website is shipping same or next day.
Damn.
At the very max 3 days. Everything's in stock. Everything's ready. No wait times on anything listed on the website.
Take advantage of that offer or that opportunity. Those are the only holsters I'm using right now. Not just because Nick is on the podcast with me. I was a customer.
I'm only on the podcast because you used my holster.
I am a customer. We're not just friends. I'm a customer. So,
that's how I met Steve. He was a customer.
And now we're friends. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, take us out. I got to go here to talk to the painter.
Comment to us. You can find us on Facebook, Range Minded Podcast. You can reach me by email, podcast@iashooting.com. You can find me on the socials under Impractical Tactical, whether Facebook or Instagram. We will see you guys, or hopefully you will hear us, I guess, on the next one. Be safe, take somebody shooting, and don't do dumb things.